For this video, I'm going to discuss the copy feature that's available on the invoices, quotes, and purchase order screens. If we have a look at an example of an invoice, let me just click this invoice here. This opens up our invoice screen. Now, up the top here, you see where you can copy the invoice. If I click copy, it's going to create a complete copy of this invoice, and it's going to create a new invoice according to the next invoice number due to be created. And that's pretty obvious, okay? So it creates a copy of the invoice. Depending upon your business, you might have one or two particular invoices created in your system that you actually use as a template. And every time you create an invoice for someone, example, if you're a builder, you might be building a patio. And for patios, you might have a certain invoice that you've created over time that's laid out a certain way that you go back in when you're doing a invoice or you're doing a quote for a client, you jump back in. It's probably more applicable in this case if you're doing a quote for a client. You're going to jump back into that particular quote. You're going to edit that quote, and let's say, for example, that this was all laid out nicely and you had 20 or 30 different descriptions down the bottom here. It was all set up. You could click copy and it would create a new copy of this quote, and then you could just jump back in there, select who it was going to, change a couple of things, maybe change the costings, click print, and you're away. The quotation's already done for you, so you haven't got to go through and type the logistical nightmare each time you do a new quote. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. So if you have invoices or you have quotes set up that you use as templates, I know I do. For one of my businesses, I have a couple of invoices that don't need quotes. I actually use invoices, and I have a couple of templates set up, and it's very quick and easy. I just jump in to a previous invoice that was created using that method that I used it as a template. I click copy, and great, I just jump in there, change a few things, and it's for a new person. The thing is if you change to a new financial year, the quotes, invoices, etc. from the last financial year aren't there anymore. So you've got no way of using one of these pre-designed templates for the new financial year. Up until now, EasyAs, when you clicked on edit, if you look down the bottom here, we can click on, I'm on the quote screen, so if I'm looking down the bottom here, I can click on previous invoices or previous quotes which are still outstanding, okay? If I click this icon and I say that this particular quote here was outstanding from last financial year, if I click edit, up until now you weren't actually able to edit most of these details. You could view a previous quotation or previous invoice, but you couldn't do much else with it. Now they've changed it. You can get in and you can edit quotes, or you can change invoices from last financial year, providing that they're still at their outstanding invoices or quotes. But most of the time, you're not even going to want to be changing the information because it's not really applicable. However, what's beneficial is you can also copy it. So if you have a template that you've created a separate invoice or a separate quote as a dummy template that you use throughout the year, providing that invoice is marked as not finished with, you can jump into here, you can create copy, and it's going to create a copy of that quotation or that invoice. So what that means is if you're in 2013, which I am for this particular person, my financial year is 2013, let's say that, for example, this particular quote happened to have been my template. I could jump into here, I could click copy, and it's going to create a copy of that quotation, and it's going to put the copy of that in the current year's quotes. So, depending upon what the next number is, that's where it's going to be. If you see here, copy of quote, it means now that if you have quotes or you have invoices, this is really what this whole video was about, if you have quotes or you have invoices or you have purchase orders that you've been using as templates, you can now jump over, create a copy, and a new copy of that will appear on this screen. And you can go on and keep using those templates year after year, just creating new copies each year for whatever financial year is applicable.